Well, it's hard to believe that we are here again, and yes, this video might feel a bit redundant, but yet again, here we are, with an ignorant, hypocritical, fraud journalist slithering onto his immense platform to spew some revisionist lies about an easy top 5 player of all time. Which is, again, what Stephen A. Smith did in his never-ending quest, seemingly, to slander the late, great Kobe Bryant. Which all feels suspiciously like a thinly veiled, embarrassing attempt to simp for LeBron James and find a way to jam his overrated ass in that number 2 slot. And it actually started over comments made by Shaquille O'Neal. Which, doesn't it seem odd that Shaq, who recently made news for going on an impromptu tirade about how many MVPs he got cheated out of after Nikola Jokic won his 3rd, continues to go out of his way to promote Kobe in the GOAT debate?
Well, don't name me most valuable player. It goes to the most valuable player in the league. That was me.
Yeah, this egotist isn't jamming his own name in the GOAT running. He is instead, again, out here proclaiming that Kobe needs to garner more consideration.
I don't really care who's in it, but I think you should put the right people in. You're not going to throw Kobe in there?
Shaq, who, while the former dynamic duo did rekindle prior to Kobe's untimely passing, went through a tough patch in their relationship.
Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes.
Damn it, these two hated each other while they were playing together. The two famously could not coexist in LA, while Kobe ended up forcing Shaq out of town in order to blaze his own trail and win his own championships. But for those of you who might have forgotten, Shaq also played with prime MVP LeBron James. The year was 2009-2010. LeBron's 7th NBA season and final in his first stint in Cleveland before crawling his bum ass to South Beach with his talents to destroy the competitive balance of the NBA.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
But in that final season with Cleveland, LeBron won a 2nd consecutive league MVP while playing beside Shaquille O'Neal. So top 10 to 15 all-time NBA player Shaq, who played with both prime Kobe and prime LeBron, is out here on a mission to get Kobe's name included in the GOAT debate.
How come Kobe's name is never brought up? I think it's kind of disrespectful. I don't compare anybody to Mike, but if I had to answer the question, Kobe is the closest thing to Mike. And is there somebody that's close to Kobe? No.
Yet, as always, ignorant clutch sports plant Stephen A. Smith is here to remind us that he knows better. Stephen A. again brings up the fact Kobe won 3 rings with Shaq.
I have to take into consideration that you had Shaq for your first 3 rings.
While then, in the same monologue, having the audacity to bring up LeBron James and how he's had a bigger impact on winning than Kobe.
And then when you look at the impact that LeBron has had on winning in his prime years, no matter where he's went, and the kind of impact that he's had, that's why I have LeBron James number 2 on Mount Rushmore.
But LeBron won 2 of his 4 rings, the first 2, may I add, with a stacked Miami Heat super team, which had a top 5 all-time historical positional player in Dwayne Wade on it, 11-time NBA All-Star and Hall of Famer Chris Bosh, and also included Hall of Famer and top 75 player of all time, Ray Allen, on one of those 2 title teams, which, while yes, he was 37 years old that season, did happen to make some pretty big contributions to that championship run. And LeBron was coming out of a historically putrid conference at that time, as in the 2 finals runs that resulted in titles for LeBron's Miami Heat teams in 2012 and 2013 faced only one 50-win team in the 6 series they played in to get out of the Eastern Conference those 2 years. Oh, and that one team, by the way, didn't even really win 50 games, as that is counting the 42-24 Indiana Pacers in 2012, since it was a strike-shortened season, but their win percentage of 64% would have netted them 50 wins in a full 82-game year. So the best two players in the conference on the same team, with another perennial all-star in Chris Bosh and a plethora of other elite role players, faced 150-win team total on both of those finals runs. And those were the only two rings the alleged GOAT, or second best player ever, could win for his first 12 NBA seasons. He then paired a guy in Kevin Love, coming off of 2 All-NBA second-team selections in 2 of his 3 previous seasons, with ascending All-Star guard Kyrie Irving to win his 3rd ring. You remember that championship, don't you?
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, that one in 2015-2016. For reference, in that year, 31-year-old LeBron James averaged 25 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 6 assists in the regular season, while 22-year-old Kobe Bryant, being carried by Shaq to his 2nd championship, averaged 28.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in his regular season. For those playoffs in 2015-2016, the run that made LeBron the GOAT in his own delusional mind, he averaged 26 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 7.5 assists. And here is 22-year-old Kobe being again carried to the title in 2001, averaging 29 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Oh, this is while Kobe was leading the NBA playoffs in clutch time scoring. Speaking of which, LeBron, in that GOAT title run in 2015-2016, where he single-handedly carried the Cavaliers to a championship, defeating the unbeatable 73-9 Warriors, in clutch time for that entire postseason, defined as the final 2 minutes of the 4th quarter or overtime in a one-possession game, prime, alleged GOAT, LeBron James, scored 5 total points on 2 of 9 shooting, while Kyrie Irving led the Cavaliers in clutch time scoring for that postseason with 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting in those same situations. Now, for comparison's sake, let's take a look at Kobe's worst title run, his first one at the age of 21, when he and Shaq won the championship in the 1999-2000 season. For the playoffs that season, in the final 2 minutes of one-possession games, Kobe Bryant led the Lakers substantially in clutch moments. In 8 such games during that playoff run, the Lakers found themselves in these tight one-possession games, and they produced a 7-1 record. In the final 2 minutes of those one-score games, Shaq scored 2 points, going 0 of 2 from the field and 2 for 4 from the free throw line, while no other Laker player in that postseason had more than 4 points in those clutch situations. Aside, that is, of course, from Kobe Bryant, who led the Lakers and the NBA with 19 points in those clutch situations, shooting 6 of 9 from the field and 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Of course, then, LeBron's 4th and final ring came in the form of a preseason exhibition tournament in the Disney bubble, a year where Anthony Davis was first-team All-NBA, first-team All-NBA defense, finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and led the playoffs in points scored and win shares. And that sure mysteriously looks a lot like prime Shaq.
You damn right.
Meanwhile, Kobe won 2 rings with a roster containing only 1 other All-Star and 0 top 75 players. One of the worst, most nonsensical arguments one can make in the Kobe v. LeBron debate specifically is LeBron's impact on winning. Kobe dwarfs him in that category.
You're goddamn right.
Maybe just stick to longevity metrics and counting stats. The loudmouth moron Stephen A. goes on to question if Kobe is even the best Laker at all, bringing up, of course, Magic Johnson.
We could argue about whether or not Kobe Bryant was even the greatest Laker, because last time I checked, Irvin Magic Johnson was a Laker.
who again, if we're going to deduct points from Kobe's GOAT case based on having Shaq for 3 of his 5 rings, Magic won all 5 of his rings with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oh, and tagging along was other top 50 all-time player James Worthy. Kareem, mind you, won 5 of his 6 rings with Magic and Worthy, and his only other ring without Magic came with Oscar Robertson, another top 10 to 15 player of all time. And yet Stephen A has both of them above Bryant too. Kobe won back-to-back titles with Pau Gasol as his next best player. The worst second option by any player in any top 10 discussions outside of probably Hakeem Olajuwon, who won one of his 2 rings with top 50 all-time player Clyde Drexler. Show me another player ever that was the undisputed best offensive player for over a decade stretch, leading the league in points scored and scoring average from 2000 to 2013, while making 11 All-NBA first-team selections during that stretch and 11 All-NBA defensive team selections. Oh, and that was while exhibiting the level of winning he did during that span, going to 7 finals and winning 5 of them. There simply is no other player ever who meets all of these criteria other than Kobe besides one. Perhaps using the phrase GOAT debate is unfair, since there really isn't much of a debate at all. The greatest player of all time is unequivocally Michael Jordan. But there simply isn't a single player otherwise who has ever existed that is definitively above Kobe Bryant. If you want to discuss other players that belong beside him in his conversation at 2, we are open to making those. But omitting Kobe's name from any list that follows the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the height of hypocrisy, ignorance, and stupidity.